I think especially at such a young age, it's so difficult to specialise so early on. And so I think IB is really great in giving you that opportunity to consider other subjects that you might not necessarily want to do in later life, but you can still do them for fun.
Yeah, and I think for me, my high levels are all sort of essay writing subjects. And I think if I were to do them for just A level, that would be sort of a lot of writing and a lot of very similar subjects. So I really wanted to have the sort of balance of doing more scientific and mathematical subjects as well. I think for me, it would be, at the school in particular, the IB classes are a lot smaller than the A-level classes. And I think that gives too many advantages. You get more sort of contact time with your teachers. And also you really get to know your peers a lot more because it's a lot, the sort of a smaller environment.
I would also say the flexibility of IB compared to A-level. I know that, for example, for English, you're allowed to pick the text you want, you're allowed to pick some of the poems. And I think I found that especially compared to A-level, it's much less rigid. Finding the balance between, whilst studying for your standard level subjects, prioritising the high level subjects, because they're more important. You also can't neglect the standard level, but it's finding that balance, which you will get to do, yeah.
I think for me, the main one is the coursework. In every subject, you have to do an IA, so that's a lot of coursework, and it's just quite difficult to sort of maintain, because it's quite a lot of stress to sort of maintain throughout the 2 years, because you're sort of having to work towards each one of the IAs at different points. So it's just maintaining that high level of intensity, I think. I think with the IB it can be quite tricky because you've got 6 subjects, having to sort of juggle them. So time management becomes very important. You have to make sure that you're really optimizing your time away from lessons to make sure you get your work done, which I think as you move into university becomes very important.
Yeah, and I think compared to the A-level, you have to be quite an independent learner, because you have to spend a lot of your time where you wouldn't have study periods, working, revising, consolidating stuff you've learnt in lessons. So yeah, independence and time management.
There are certain parts of the IB that potentially seem a little bit tenuous. For example, CAS, which is where you have to log all your extracurricular activities that you do. I think this could be potentially quite important to a lot of people in terms of making sure they're doing important sort of things outside the classroom, but I found it to be not that pertinent for me personally, so I'd probably place less emphasis on that.
I think also just having less time, because you're doing more subjects, you have more lessons, especially compared to your peers who do A-level. Sometimes you get a bit jealous of them, but you do finish your exams and earlier than the A-level, so it is rewarding in the end.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that IB is much harder than A-level and much more work, and I would definitely reconsider if you're thinking that, because it's really not that much harder. If anything, they're quite similar standard, and it's really fun to keep going the other subjects that you might really love that you have to drop at A-level. So would definitely recommend the IB.
Yeah, and I'd say I think even if say you're in year 11 and you're not quite sure about doing a science or having to do maths or even a language, even if you have a slight hint of maybe I want to do it, I'd say just go for it, because you'll actually find that if you put the time and effort in, these can be really rewarding, and it's really nice because I think you gain a much more holistic sort of understanding of the world as a whole.
And your standard level subjects that you do will eventually help your higher level subjects. So it is worth it in the end.